you see the mounted police, they're moving in, tear gas, rubber bullets. They're trying to disperse this crowd that had gathered very peacefully, and then all of a sudden the police start moving in to try to disperse the crowd, and it's getting very, very ugly. Once again, for viewers who may just be tuning in, this is happening as we're awaiting the President of the United States. He's supposedly going to be delivering a brief statement in the Rose Garden, where you can clearly smell the tear gas that has enveloped not just Lafayette Park, but the north lawn of the White House, and heading towards the Rose Garden, where the President is going to be speaking momentarily. Don Lemon, I'm anxious to get your thoughts right now. This is not pleasant to even observe this right here in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, as this is unfolding.
Well, Wolf, I have very quickly, all I have to say, I said earlier, this was a made-for-TV moment. This was a very peaceful protest, and as the President...
Hold on, Don. Here's the President. Hold on, Don. Here's the President.
My fellow Americans, my first and highest duty as President is to defend our great country and the American people. I swore an oath to uphold the laws of our nation, and that is exactly what I will do. All Americans were rightly sickened and revolted by the brutal death of George Floyd. My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries of peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities, and as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I will fight to protect you. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. But in recent days, our nation has been gripped by professional anarchists, violent mobs, arsonists, looters, criminals, rioters, Antifa, and others. A number of state and local governments have failed to take necessary action to safeguard their residents. Innocent people have been savagely beaten, like the young man in Dallas, Texas, who was left dying on the street, or the woman in upstate New York viciously attacked by dangerous thugs. Small business owners have seen their dreams utterly destroyed. New York's finest have been hit in the face with bricks. Brave nurses who have battled the virus are afraid to leave their homes. A police precinct has been overrun. Here in the nation's capital, the Lincoln Memorial and the World War II Memorial have been vandalized. One of our most historic churches was set ablaze. A federal officer in California, an African-American enforcement hero, was shot and killed. These are not acts of peaceful protest. These are acts of domestic terror. The destruction of innocent life and the spilling of innocent blood is an offense to humanity and a crime against God. America needs creation, not destruction. Cooperation, not contempt. Security, not anarchy. Healing, not hatred. Justice, not chaos. This is our mission, and we will succeed 100%. We will succeed. Our country always wins. That is why I am taking immediate presidential action to stop the violence and restore security and safety in America. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights. Therefore, the following measures are going into effect immediately. First, we are ending the riots and lawlessness that has spread throughout our country. We will end it now. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them. I am also taking swift and decisive action to protect our great capital, Washington, D.C. What happened in this city last night was a total disgrace. As we speak, I am dispatching thousands and thousands of heavily armed soldiers, military personnel, and law enforcement officers to stop the rioting, looting, vandalism, assaults, and the wanton destruction of property. We are putting everybody on warning. Our 7 o'clock curfew will be strictly enforced. Those who threaten innocent life and property will be arrested, detained, and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I want the organizers of this terror to be on notice that you will face severe criminal penalties and lengthy sentences in jail. This includes Antifa and others who are leading instigators of this violence. One law and order, and that is what it is. One law. We have one beautiful law. And once that is restored and fully restored, we will help you, we will help your business, and we will help your family. America is founded upon the rule of law. It is the foundation of our prosperity, our freedom, and our very way of life. But where there is no law, there is no opportunity. Where there is no justice, there is no liberty. Where there is no safety, there is no future. We must never give in to anger or hatred. If malice or violence reigns, then none of us is free. I take these actions today with firm resolve and with a true and passionate love for our country. By far, our greatest days lie ahead. Thank you very much, and now I'm going to pay my respects to a very, very special place. Thank you very much.
All right, so there's the President of the United States making a 6 or 7 minute statement declaring he is the President of law and order, and he will stop what's going on right now. And as he was speaking right across the street from the White House, there was a peaceful demonstration in Lafayette Park by protesters who were simply shouting, making statements, but they were not threatening anyone. And all of a sudden, military personnel, military police, uniformed Secret Service police, mounted police went in to disperse, and they were firing tear gas in the process. Rubber bullets were told as well. The president saying he's going to use an old law to deploy military personnel to deal with all of this. He says these are professional anarchists who are responsible. Once again, as he has for the past several days, he blamed a far-left group, Antifa, for this. They will lose. We will win, he said. This is our mission. We will succeed, he said, 100%. Mobilizing all resources, he said, citing an old law, civilian and military, the Insurrection Act of 1807. He says he was mobilizing that to deal with the riots, he said, and the lawlessness. This situation is about to get clearly a whole lot worse, not only here near the White House in Washington, D.C., but I'm bracing for angry reaction in other major cities around the United States as well. And remember, in only about 8 minutes, there's supposed to be a curfew that's taking place here in the nation's capital. Everybody's supposed to be off the streets. We'll see what happens at that moment. Don Lemon, the president, did not mince, from his perspective, any words at all.
He did not, Wolf, and just as the president was coming out, I was trying to make the point to you that this was a made-for-TV moment. This is the reason, as I said earlier, that the Attorney General came out to survey the troops, because they wanted to create this moment for the cameras, so that when the president came out and gave his law and order speech, which I said as well, again, for the cameras, that there would be chaos on the streets of America. This was a made-for-television moment. And what I wanted to say after that, which I believe to be true, and I know to be true now, is that earlier on that phone call that we heard that Jim Acosta played for us earlier, when the president said, "You're being weak, you have to show strength," that the Minneapolis Police Department was on fire. I've never seen anything like this before. I said he sounded weak and scared. Those were the orders from the commander-in-chief for this very moment that just happened in front of our eyes. Why were we pretending otherwise? Open your eyes, America. Open your eyes. We are teetering on a dictatorship. This is chaos. Has the president, I'm listening, is the president declaring war on Americans? What is happening here? He's saying he wants to protect peaceful protesters, at the same time sending law enforcement and military into the streets to push peaceful protesters back, to be aggressive with peaceful protesters. He is doing the exact opposite of what he said in that speech. I think the president is playing a very, very dangerous game here. There are a lot of Americans who are out on these streets who are upset, who are frustrated, who are angry. Again, I am not condoning violence at all, and I hope that they remain peaceful, but I hope that they stand up and fight for their rights to peacefully protest in this country. But he's playing a very dangerous game, because this will backfire. People are upset and they're angry. These people, as I have been saying as well, they feel like they are occupied in their own communities by police departments, many of them militarized police departments.
Right.
Now the entire country, according to his orders, we are living under a militarized country, or we will be soon, and it will play out in front of our very eyes on national television.
And Don, the president said he is now going to be deploying what he described as thousands and thousands of U.S. military troops to American cities. He says he has the right to do so under the Insurrection Act of 1807, and that's why he's doing this. Jim Acosta, you were there, you were listening to the president. He made a 6 or 7 minute statement, and then he walked away, didn't answer reporters' questions, clearly insisting he's going to win. He's the law and order president, he said, and he called what he called the terrorists, and he called them the terrorists. They will lose, and he complained that so many of these cities and states were engaging in a total disgrace by not taking decisive military action.
That's right, Wolf, and I just want to catch you up to speed on something that appears to be happening right now, and that is, it seems that they're making preparations over here at the White House for the president to make some kind of movement off the grounds of the White House. You heard the president say at the very end of his remarks that he was going to go pay his respects. You can see behind me, the pool is gathering as we speak. That's the White House pool. That's the small group of reporters who trail the president throughout his day on his movements. We're not in the pool today, but our colleagues at the other network, NBC, and other print reporters, they are gathering up right now for what appears to be a very brief movement that the president is going to be taking here in just a few moments. It is possible, based on the logistics of where we are and how he'll be able to make a brief trip here in just a few moments, that he may be going to St. John's Episcopal Church. If you look at this camera that is overlooking St. John's Episcopal Church across from Lafayette, across from the White House.
We're looking at live pictures from St. St. John's Church, right across from Lafayette Park, right over there on 16th Street. And it's, as you know, Jim, every American president, I think almost every American president, has gone to Sunday services.